Alright, YouTube, we're back, of course, talking something. We haven't uploaded in a couple days at this point. It's like 3 or 4 days. And to be totally honest with you guys, there's just nothing to really talk about in the community. Nothing like super relevant. Like the most interesting thing in the last couple days is like a Dragon Quest Tact collab with FF7 Ever Crisis. Which I actually do like, because I do like Dragon Quest, of course, and as much as I do like the crossovers with Ever Crisis and other Final Fantasy games, I'm still waiting on the FF10 collaboration. I actually really like the collaborations they're doing outside of the Final Fantasy franchise, and Dragon Quest is, of course, still a Square Enix property, but as a big fan of the Monster Hunter collaboration, I'm really excited for this one as well. It's kind of funny, though, because I'm not sure how long these crossovers are in the works for, like licensing type shit and developing and making everything or whatever, how long that actually takes. But Dragon Quest Tact, at least the global version, ended more than a year ago. Actually, like a year and a half ago almost, February of last year, 2024. Like, I think maybe the Japanese version's still going, but like over here, unless you like maybe emulate it or some shit or whatever, you can't play it. Maybe because the Japanese version of Dragon Quest Tact is still going is why they're doing this collaboration. But it's kind of funny just because it's a game we can't really play here anymore, right? Because like the Monster Hunter collab was just collaborating with Monster Hunter as a whole. And I think it was like celebrating the 20th anniversary of Monster Hunter, but it wasn't like an older Monster Hunter game or whatever, right? It was just like the franchise as a whole. And it's also, it just kind of makes more sense if they were collaborating with like the Dragon Quest series as a whole, as opposed to that specific, now kind of defunct mobile game. I don't know. Whatever, kind of weird. Now that they're collaborating with another mobile game, another Square Enix mobile game, it actually makes me wonder what the possibilities could have been had, something like First Soldier never got canceled. Because it could have had crossovers between them, right? Where you could have done like, locations or whatever little story aspects we had in First Soldier, crossover into Ever Crisis. Obviously, we have the First Soldier stuff, but you know what I mean. But also like the Ever Crisis stuff crossing over into First Soldier, where you could have like character skins and stuff from Ever Crisis onto your characters in First Soldier. Plus, we obviously talked a lot over the last however many years about them dropping the ball with the First Soldier. It just kind of sucks, man. I just wish they could have made that into like some sort of successful battle royale, but whatever. It's in the past. I will say with the Dragon Quest crossover, you already know I want some Dragon Quest VIII love. I don't know if that's going to happen with this particular crossover, maybe one down the road. They're obviously kind of more focused on like the earlier Dragon Quest games right now in terms of what they're remastering, remaking, and stuff like that with Dragon Quest 3 and the 1 and 2 and the upcoming 7 eventually. So like maybe they'll not get around to 8 for a while if they get around to it at all. But I would obviously love some character skins and things like that. But if they're going to keep crossing over with other Square Enix properties, I think a fucking Parasite Eve crossover would go pretty hard. They could do some really cool shit with that. I'm not totally sure what they could do with like skins necessarily for a crossover like that, just because Aya Brea is kind of the main character. I guess you could do like a ladies focused crossover, right? Give all the different Aya Brea outfits to the different ladies on the FF7 roster. But just like the crossover potential there is pretty cool. Just comes some of the monsters and things like that. There are obviously male characters when it comes to the Parasite Eve games, but they're not super interesting looking for like crossover outfits and things like that. Like Daniel, which is the cop or whatever from the first game, it's just a guy in a suit. Like, I mean, it's not. You could put one of the characters in a suit, I guess. It wouldn't be that bad looking. And what do you give him for a weapon, though? Like, if it's Cloud in Daniel's outfit from Parasite Eve 1, he just has a gun. What sword do you give him? A sword gun? I'm not against a sword gun. What the hell would that look like? I guess the problem also kind of lies with any sort of Aya Brea skin, too, because I think she only uses guns, right? Outside of magic. But weapons that you use in combat are guns. So it's like, if you're to give, like, an Aya Brea skin to, like, Aerith, like, you turn one of her fucking guns into a staff, I guess? I don't know. Regardless, we're just kind of rambling at this point. The other thing that's maybe worth mentioning, I guess, is there's a rumored Nintendo Direct coming up sometime this week, and there's not a lot of time left in July. It's supposed to be happening in the month of July, so the next handful of days here. And that could potentially pertain to Square Enix. At the absolute least, maybe they give us another update on the Remake Intergrade coming to Switch 2 and maybe give us like a concrete release date as opposed to just the winter release window that we have. I know VGC has an article about the potential Nintendo Direct, but also like NateTheHate talked about it very recently because people tagged him on Twitter, but I think he said he talked about it like a week ago as of a few days ago. So maybe he's like the first one to kind of talk about the potential of a Direct, but that could be happening relatively soon. And on the higher end of things, of course, we got to throw out the 9 remake. I know it's still looming in the background for a lot of us. Whether or not it fucking happens, who knows at this point, but it's a possibility. I'm trying to put like a lot of emphasis on the Direct because I just have no idea what it's supposed to be for. If there would be anything Square Enix related, maybe we get another trailer for Killer N. That'd be very exciting. But that's literally kind of all there is. Like a fucking collab thing with Ever Crisis, which can be exciting at times. And then like a Direct that may or may not have anything in regards to Square Enix. Like that's all there is to talk about currently that I'm aware of. Like I said towards the beginning, I just want to make a video on something. It's been a few days at this point since we had a conversation, my dudes. If it makes any sense at all, I try not to like force videos, right? There was a time where, it's been years at this point, where I used to do daily videos on whatever I was covering at the time on the channel. And that shit was rough, but we were pretty consistent for the most part. And there's just kind of not that right now when it comes to Square Enix and FF7 specifically, but really just Square Enix in general. That's why for like the longest time now on the channel, we've been on the every other day upload, just because it kind of gives time for information to come out, interviews, articles, translations of something, whatever may happen that's worth talking about, right? And you guys already know, when the information is there, we're doing the daily upload. Sometimes we're doing multiple videos a day if the information is interesting enough, right? Like, we're definitely there for that shit when that is available. But there's literally, like I said, nothing to talk about right now. And I just want to make a video. I just want to talk to you guys. I missed you. So I'm very much looking forward to the potential of some Remake Part 3 stuff in the somewhat near future. Not just because we want the third game for the Remake trilogy, but just to have something to talk about, because holy shit, it is dry as fuck out here. That's why I wish like the 9 Remake had been announced or revealed at this point, just because there'd be something else to talk about, right? Not just waiting on FF7 shit. There'd be like interviews and trailers to break down, things like that, right? And again, dry as fuck. Nothing to talk about. Like, kind of the only option right now would either be expanded into non-FF7 or non-Final Fantasy shit related to Square Enix that I don't really cover normally on the channel, so they wouldn't do that well anyway, so it's like kind of a waste of time. Or kind of delve it into, like, you know, the theory territory shit with, you know, the remake games. But it's like, that's just not fun to me so much. I mean, I do want to do a particular video on something here pretty soon, maybe the next day or two. But overall, like, just jumping into, like, the theory rabbit hole with FF7, I just got burnt out on that shit, doing it for, you know, 4 to 5 years or some shit straight with, you know, FF7 leading into Rebirth and a little bit post-Rebirth. It's just not fun to me. And when we had all those, like, different theories and stuff for Remake leading into Rebirth, and then I feel like Rebirth didn't give us a whole lot of answers for a lot of stuff that we were all kind of speculating or discussing. Some answers, not all the answers. And maybe that's intentional because they want to give you all the answers with the third game, I'm sure. But still, like, it's just years and years and years of that shit. And I just feel like there wasn't much payoff with Rebirth in terms of the theory crafting stuff. Not really where I want to be currently with content on the channel in regards to FF7, right? But maybe if there's like an interesting theory that comes across my timeline, I might talk about it. But at the same time, I don't really go looking for that shit anymore. So it's like, I don't know. It's just it's just a little bit frustrating currently as a content creator. I just feel like there's nothing to talk about. It's why you guys have been hearing me say for probably pretty close to a year at this point, like, what's the next big thing for Square Enix? What's the next big game? What's on the horizon? What are we doing? And it's fucking nothing still, dude. Like, holy shit. It's like almost a year and a half since Rebirth came out, and we've yet to see the next big game. And I think besides like Dragon Quest remakes, it's just like the next new game is like Killer N, right? I'm dunking on Killer N again with this video, but still, like, the fuck are we doing? I know there's like a restructuring, we know all that, I get it, but still, like, how do we not have something else to talk about right now, dude? Next big game from Square Enix. Like, is Killer N the next big game? Is that what they're putting all their fucking stocks into, man? Is Killer N, hoping that game succeeds? Shit. At this point, I don't know what this fucking video is about anymore. It's kind of a news video, sort of, but it's also like a little bit of a rant video, sort of. I don't know. I guess maybe kind of the point is, like, if you guys don't see me upload for like a few days, it's usually because there's not something to talk about, or I just happen to be busy. I did say there's nothing to talk about the last few days, but I was busy. There was family over for the weekend from Friday to Sunday. But it so happens that there's also nothing to talk about over the weekend as well. So, like, that's kind of where we are. Is there something to talk about? Can you guys give me a fucking video idea? Is there anything out there? Something to talk about in this fucking world in regards to Square Enix. I think I'm losing my mind. That'll be the video, my dudes. I guess subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, so in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, dashingdavidbusiness. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine, or leave it like Cobain.